All right, welcome everyone. We are live now on Facebook, and we have an extremely special guest that we flew in all the way from UK. No, I'm just kidding. We're all in our respective locations, and I want to introduce our very special guest this evening. His name is Toan Hoang, and I had to practice that all day long, Tuan. So I hope I got it right. Okay, so Tuan is a consultant with 17 years of experience in business intelligence, data management, big data, data lakes, Internet of Things. That's IoT for the non-techies, right? And visualization and data analytics. Now, as an industry veteran, Tuan's previous clients include Telefonica, Lloyd's Banking Group, BNP Paribas, Schroders, Just Eat, that's me, Just Eat, UBS, and many, many more. And he also operates a limited company out of London and a data agency on Upwork for remote work and he can also provide a variety of services. So let's give a virtual hand to Tuan. Thank you, Tuan, for joining us this evening. And maybe I'll start off with our first question. What the heck is data analytics?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and it's always fun to actually discuss. I think the key is that the analogy I use is poker. There's a
Okay,
mixture of instincts. So when you have your hand, you're instinctively knowing what you want to do. But
right.
if you just play on instincts, then that is a problem because you're going to be beaten by statistics.
Uh
So the
huh.
idea is that we want to leverage instincts as well as data to make better decisions. And data
Okay.
analytics allows you to do that. It's about
Okay.
getting data, processing that data,
All
and
right.
making sure that data is there to inform all of your decisions. So we cannot predict the future, but at least we can be
Okay.
as informed as possible. If you're
Okay.
going to acquire a business, you might do data analytics on the area, on the customer base, on other businesses around, if you're going to go into an online venture. Or
Sure.
how about if you're operating your current business and you want to improve your sales pipeline? You'll perform analytics, you'll gather
Mm.
your data, you'll process that, and then you present it so that you can make better, more effective decisions. Nothing's
Okay.
perfect, but having the
Right.
data and analysis behind it would
Uh huh.
increase your chances of making a good and effective decision.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. It almost sounds like really deep diving and intense research. And research is research, right? But it's the research that allows us to make business business decisions that are semi-intelligent, right?
Yeah.
That will lead us down the path towards the outcome that we want. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, that's exactly it. However, when I say business intelligence, when I teach it, I say reverse the wording,
Okay.
intelligent business.
Ah. Okay.
And
I
that's
got it.
what we try to create. Like I said, for
Sure.
me, I think the heart and the mind work together.
Mhm.
Individually, they're not as strong, but when you bring them both together, that's where you really create magic. When you have the
Okay.
instinct of 20 years of industry experience,
Hmm.
marry that with a lot of data, a lot of research, then you can make effective decisions.
Right.
Cool.
Okay. Got it.
Tuan, don't mind me asking. You look like you're really you're looking at something. Okay, you look really focused on something earlier before we started. It's like you're looking at the stocks or you're looking at the needle there. Is that what you were doing before?
Oh, no, no, I was just answering emails.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the key because I have a 70-inch monitor
Right.
and my
Ah.
webcam is
Okay.
there.
Right.
So the image of you is over here, but the webcam is in a different place. So it just
Ah.
looks a bit strange.
Okay.
Is it a 70-inch curved?
I wish, I really wish.
Oh.
My desk is
Okay.
not that well. Yeah, I wish. It
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah. just a little side. I always love the setup, and on my desk I've got three screens, and I've functioned on three screens since I believe 2007 and thereabouts. And back then the screens were big and clunky, and
Mm,
the monitors I was using was like 22, 24 inch. So it was really cool, like shifting things here and there. And unfortunately, my main screen is 21 and a half, and then I have the other one. But what's nice is that I can take it from portrait and put it to no, I can take it from landscape and put it to portrait. Okay, and then I
mm.
have my iPad, centered between the two. But sometimes it's a little much. So let me ask you this question. Data analytics. You've been in this industry for about 17 years, and how was data analytics used, let's say by your clients or by organizations that during a lot of countries were in lockdown, quarantine, whatever label that we want to put on it, and a lot of us work from home, businesses went down,
Mhm.
people had to make all kinds of decisions. So how was data analytics used by organizations, in 2020, and then now we're getting into 2021?
Yeah. So for me, I work with a variety of organizations. One
Mhm.
of the biggest key drivers is forecasting right now. So, for example, the world has been on pause. Different countries are opening at different rates. People are moving. Consumer patterns have definitely changed. But the
Right.
key behind this is that one, we need to be able to make effective decisions today. What does
Right.
that mean? It means getting data to understanding, do we downsize? Do we put people on furlough? Do we fire people? Do we reduce our marketing budget?
Mhm.
A simple aspect of marketing budget is very interesting because
Mhm.
a lot of people are not working or are struggling at the moment. Should we reduce our marketing budget because we don't really need it at this point in time?
Right.
So those are the decisions you're going to make. So as of today, do we increase our sales force? Do we decrease our sales force? That's then going into the world of forecasting.
Mm,
When will we come out of this? Do we start bringing
Mhm.
people back on furlough because we're seeing trends?
Mhm.
How about our website traffic? Is that trending up or down? So we're trying to predict how we make our next 10 moves. And
Okay.
there's a lot of data sources. There's
Right.
Google Mobility, there's Apple Mobility, which is very interesting. It shows
Right.
you how people are moving today,
Mhm.
and that could be an indicator. You have your own internal organizational data. Are sales going up or down? Is traffic to your website on social media increasing or decreasing? These can give you telltale signs. And again, by having data behind this, we can bring this
Mhm.
all together,
Mhm.
marry it with instincts, marry it with what you see in the news, and then we could actually make strategic decisions. But COVID
Okay.
has really highlighted the need for data. And one
Okay.
interesting example is that most businesses operate on a monthly reporting cycle. At the end
Right.
of the month, we consolidate our information, we plan ahead. Which business in today's world wants to operate on a monthly planning cycle now?
Yeah,
We,
that's true.
we need data daily because
Mhm.
at a drop of a button, a country can lock down.
mm.
There can be
Yeah, we've
Right.
severe
seen that.
codes.
Yeah.
Monthly doesn't mean anything at the moment. It's scary. So
Mm.
there's a big
Right.
push towards daily, if not real-time analytics, not just getting data on a monthly process. And this also brings to life automation. Instead of having a team of analysts that are collecting data on a periodic basis, that's too slow.
Right.
Why not automate this so your data is readily and freely available to the decision makers in a streamlined fashion? So
Okay.
there's a big push towards that side.
Okay.
So the Tuan, I mean, since you brought that up, right? How does that look like every day for you? When you're saying you need data now, you can't wait a month, right? You need it in a few hours.
The key is that this is the beautiful thing. I'm not saying it to anyone. People are telling me
Okay.
this has been
Mm.
a change in the world. Management teams everywhere have the typically you work on a monthly basis, business as usual, steady growth. Monthly is fine. However, today we have to be agile. Organizations need to make quick decisions, rapid decisions,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the difference between survival and going under.
Right.
Hmm.
Therefore, people have seen the need for this now. And
Okay.
if you're on the board, who in their right mind wants to make a snap decision without the justification of data in today's world?
Right.
Right.
Do we close 20 stores? If you do that, your job is now on the line. But if you say,
Right.
I'm closing 20 stores, here's my analysis, here's my data to justify my decision.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you do this and your data is 1 quarter old.
Mm.
A very simple question. Why did
That's
you not get the latest
disaster.
data? So there's a lot of issues there. But like I said, this is really, it's driven from the business nowadays. Any organization that wants to make good and effective decisions, they need to push towards this as much as possible.
Oh, awesome. Oh, okay. So you're getting your information for people around you. They're telling you what's going on, and you just basically just collect all that data. You compile it.
Yep. So my job, and this is what I often tell people, my job, I'm a data plumber for the most part.
Sorry,
I
data plumber.
Yes, data plumber. So for the most part, we'll find out where the data is, we'll
Mm-hmm.
connect to that, we'll bring it all together, we'll make sure that data from different systems, different IT platforms, they can all be married together, and then we make it available on tap in a secure and safe manner.
Mm.
And how you use that water, how you use that data, we can advise on in terms of best practice, how you can visualize it. But the key is that we're enabling the business to actually make quicker decisions, as opposed to us being a bottleneck. We're providing the
Hmm.
infrastructure and the data to people that are making decisions.
Wow. Yep. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome, man. I mean, we hear about Google Analytics, et cetera, right? Chris, we hear that a lot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we use those things in our websites. But I guess it's a more bigger, it's a bigger picture when what you're doing there.
Yeah, I think if you take that as an example, Google Analytics is a fantastic tool for tracking web traffic.
Mm-hmm.
However, web traffic is one part of your organizational puzzle.
Right.
You have your sales platform, you have your accounting platform, you have your lead
Mm-hmm.
generation platform. You want to
Right.
tie all of this together because you want to see not just a silo of data, because silos can be deceiving. You want
Okay.
to see
Right.
the big picture, end to end, customer journeys from initial connection all the way to sales to repeat business. You want to track
Mm-hmm.
everything. If you just
Okay.
look at the accounting system, it might look good, but without your sales system, you cannot see your pipeline.
Right.
Right.
It's about comparing the whole enterprise, having that enterprise-wide picture. And that's the challenge because a lot of people buy best of breed software and they're not
Mm-hmm.
always easy to connect together.
Yep.
Yeah. When you get stuff off the shelf or you
Mm-hmm.
have bits and pieces of it and you try to string it together,
Yeah.
it's not a seamless hop over, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think that's where the IoT comes in, where IoT provides a seamless hop based on the data being input, and then the appropriate action is taken, isn't it? That sounds about right.
So IoT is essentially everything being connected and
Uh
everything
huh.
sending data, but you also, again, having data is one thing. Having
Mhm.
consumable data is a different story. So go back to my plumbing analogy. You can have your reservoir of data, your
Mm.
reservoir, your data lake. You can have this kind of big puddle in the middle of nowhere that's just collecting rainwater. You
Uh huh.
can't do that. How would you even
Mm,
go about consuming that? It has to go through a filtration process, a cleaning process. You have to make sure that errors in your data are accounted for, anomalies are accounted for. And then once it
yeah.
comes at the end, you have water that you could turn your tap, you could drink and trust that you won't be poisoned. Imagine
Wow.
being poisoned by data. And this is a real phenomenon. You get data that is incorrect or not clean, and you make a decision on that.
Or too much, right?
Yeah.
Has there been cases of just too much?
There's also too much data. It's data clutter. If
Right.
Mm.
my initial job when I was a graduate was to go to a printer, 7 o'clock in the morning. That printer will be printing into one of those big boxes. So,
Uh
page
huh.
after page after page. I will highlight different roles, then depending on
Ah.
negative values. I'll put that box after like 2 hours onto someone's desk,
Mhm.
and they'll
Mhm.
collate it into a way that you can actually see in an effective manner.
Okay.
Mm.
If you have a spreadsheet of 1 million records as an example, what
Mhm.
do you see? If I give
A
you a
million.
line,
Yeah.
if I give you a line graph, a trend, well, you can see that it's going up or down. Take it
Right.
one
Right.
step further. I give you traffic lights, red, green, yellow. If it's green, all's good. If it's amber, why is it amber? Let's understand.
Uh huh.
Again, you don't need to go straight into the low level data because that's
Mm.
time. That's
Right.
time and expertise. And again, it's
Mhm.
about so once you have the data, making it easy to consume and easy to make decisions.
Well, Tuan, since you asked that question, what would we do? Right? I would say I would give it back to you.
It's
Okay.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, okay. So we got a lot of data, right? So is there a difference between like industries or organization sizes, like in terms of how they would leverage on the data?
Yeah, I think there is a maturity curve. It's not so much the size of the company, but the desire to leverage data. So you'll hear the
Okay.
phrase data-driven organization. That's
Mm.
plus everywhere. You could
Right.
be a small company that's collecting a lot of data, and every decision you make is informed by data.
Right.
You could be a large organization where you're extremely successful and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So it really depends on drive and
Right.
the culture of the company. Typically
Okay.
speaking, newer companies adopt data a lot quicker because there's not so much legacy in place.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Whereas if you imagine if you're a company that's hundreds of years old, you have your process, change is a lot harder. But
Hmm.
I get a
True.
new CEO that comes from Google, and that CEO would say, look, I come from Google, it's a data company, it's one of the most successful companies on the planet. Our company will now be data driven. So let's start that process. And it is a process. It is a journey from A to B and loads of steps in between.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, let me ask you this one. We hear a lot about data scientists, data analytics, and things like that, right? Uh, is there really a difference between data analytics and data science?
So this is where things become very interesting and where
Hmm.
jargon and terminology and sales all kind of rolls into one.
Right?
My
Okay.
personal opinion, and this is just mine, is when you're talking about data analytics, it's what I typically do. I find
Mhm.
data, I process data, I make it available, I give data.
Okay.
And what that typically means is that we know the questions that we're going for.
Mhm.
So we know we need to understand sales. We need to understand
Okay.
sales by region. So
All
therefore, let's
right.
collect the data and present that data. So we know what we know. When it comes to the world of data science and AI machine learning, let's take data science, for example. Typically, you're following the scientific method.
Mhm.
For example, you have a hypothesis. I
Mhm.
believe that putting nappies next to beer would sell more beer.
Hmm.
It's
I
a
think
very
I might agree with you. Yeah.
it's a very strange hypothesis. But then
Right.
so then the data scientists would test that hypothesis. They will create an experiment. They will test it. They'll use the latest method and then they'll come
Uh
out
huh.
with a conclusion that could
Hmm.
be
Uh huh.
yes or no. But the key is that we
Okay.
don't know. So that's what I see data science. It's a scientific job. You have a
Okay.
hypothesis. The data scientist needs to choose the appropriate
Mhm.
methodology, and then come up with a result, and
Mhm.
then inform the business. So you see, it's two scales. One is we know what we want, we need to build
Right.
it. The other one
Right.
is let's see if we can find some correlation, some patterns.
Hmm.
I'll
Okay.
give you a very interesting example. One, a previous company that I worked for many, many moons ago had a fantastic data science team, and they wanted a interesting way to predict economic growth.
Okay.
Obviously, GDP is what we use to predict economic growth. household income, median spend, if people are spending more. If the property market is moving, we can see that there's activity. How
Mhm.
about this as a hypothesis? The amount of bottled water sold. That is a better indicator of economic growth than the others. Now, you might say that's
Okay.
stupid, but then again, is it really? Because if
Mm.
more people are buying bottled water, which is a luxury as opposed to what's in the tap, it means
Hmm.
more
Mhm.
people have excess income or at least disposable income.
More disposable, right?
Exactly, which means that there's more disposable income in the market, which means the economy is doing better.
Okay.
Disposable income is a good indicator. So
Mhm.
so from a data analytics guy, I wouldn't explore that. From a data scientist, then it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
let's get bottled water sales per country. Let's
Mhm.
correlate that to GDP and see if there's a correlation. And
Mm.
let's see if that predicts economic growth. Again, this
Mm,
is hypothesis. It could be,
Right.
look, you're absolutely wrong. Or it could be, actually, there's a correlation and it's better than our traditional forecast.
right.
You know what? Let's use that instead. So again, it's the word science that people misunderstand. It's not about
Mm.
tools. It's about the
Okay.
method.
Okay.
Wow.
I have a follow-up question on that one. So, on one hand, it has more to do with answering the question,
Mhm.
and or answering the question first, or starting with a question, and then the other one is kind of starting with the evidence and the answer first.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it.
Hey, Tuan, I don't know. I think we're in the wrong field here, me and Chris.
Uh,
I mean, what's your take on the future of data
be,
analytics,
yeah.
right?
Before you answer that, Tuan, I have to let you know. You see that I have gray hair, right? Yeah, I didn't have this before we started the session. All right.
But like, so if we're in business, do we it sounds like we really need data and analytics, right? And so what is the future? I mean, what do you see for that, for the future, and the need for having data analytics consultants like you?
Yeah. So for me, the answer is actually quite an interesting one, is that if we go back in time and look at the principle of trade is
The
very,
what of
very
trade?
simple. Trading.
The flow of
Yeah,
trade.
just
Okay, okay, okay.
not just simple trade. Is if you go back 5,000 years, I have
Uh
a
huh.
camel, you want my horses, let's trade.
Right.
Right.
So the transactions were very simple. It was based on need, which is immediate.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
As in, I know that I need that camel, you know that you need my horse, we can successfully trade, and it's very simple.
Mm.
In today's world, we still have trade. We have goods for money, services for money. However, the
Mhm.
implications are a lot harder to calculate. It's a lot harder now. It's not
Okay.
just based on your need. It could be based on the need of your company, the need of your family, the needs of society. It's a lot harder to calculate now, which means that
More
we need
complex.
far more complex with
Yeah.
so many different things to consider that if you're a decision maker making 100 decisions a day, it becomes impossible.
Mm.
But why having data gives you that security is that at least I'm not doing something crazy. I can
Right.
still be wrong,
Okay.
but I think that is the main thing to consider, which means that as the world becomes more complex, which it inevitably will,
Mm.
there
Right.
becomes a greater need for data because we'll become more and more placed in a decision making process. And therefore, things are just going to increase. The volume of data is increasing tenfold.
Mm.
Every year, it's just increasing more and more. Simple example is that if you're working in sales today, in the good old days, you have your Rolodex, you have a list of customers. It was simple. If you
Mm.
work in sales today and sales and marketing, which is rolled into a function, how many Facebook clicks do you have? How many video impressions do you have on your YouTube? Which
Right.
product is trending, which is not? What is the customer base, age demographic? We collect this stuff now. And there's
Uh-huh.
research on buying patterns per age group. For every demographic, there's data. So who are you
Mhm.
targeting? Can we collect that data? So for me, the field would become only more important. So data will be increasingly important, and those that don't engage will be left behind.
Mm.
Mhm.
However, the other aspect is that we are also commoditizing data a lot more.
Okay.
So instead of having to build everything yourself, we can now get to a point where you can slowly buy off the shelf, connect together in a
Mhm.
seamless way. So my prediction for the next 10 years would be if you buy 20 different platforms because your business needs that, it
Mhm.
will be easy to connect together. You buy a
Make your
platform
own ecosystem.
exactly. And
Yeah.
in the same way with data science, I think data science and AI will become a commodity that you just buy. You don't
Mm.
Mhm.
need to hire a team or an army of data scientists. You just
Okay.
buy the service, you log
Right.
on, and you can
Uh
see that
huh.
happening today. There are tools that you can just upload your data to, it'll give you instant analytics
Mm.
You
based
know,
on
I
AI.
I, I want to ask for a favor and your help. Okay. With all
Juan
your
is already helping us.
yeah, with all your applications, with all your software and your AI, can you transport me back to 5,000 years ago? Because I want to go back to the time where we can just trade camels and horses. It's too complicated right now for me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, okay. So, it's very, very interesting what you're saying so far, and I think a lot of people cannot really get the grasp on this. So, they're thinking, maybe they think, I'm too small for this. So when
Mm.
we talk about earlier you mentioned it's not really so much the size of the companies, but let's go to the extreme, to the down to the extreme,
Mhm.
where we say, okay, a micro business, where they don't have either the plans or the capability to grow into a global conglomerate, right?
Mm.
So let's say they service a smaller area or regional or national or regional,
Mhm.
and 5 people, 6 people on a team. And I think I would have this assumption as well. In a team like that I just described, it would seem that they would need more data analytics, isn't it? Because they have a smaller team. So I guess my question is, how can data analytics help micro businesses, say specifically in Asia?
Yeah, so a few things. One, if you are a small organization,
Mhm.
every organization does analytics today. Unless you are literally trading camels, you will have some form of data and some form of analytics. Most small
Okay.
businesses will probably use Excel or Google Sheets or something along that line
Right.
to calculate the
Yep.
information. Small organization, I've seen this a lot. You'll have one person that spends 2 days a week playing with Excel,
Right.
getting the
Okay.
data, preparing reports. That's
Yep.
two. If you're a small business with 5 employees, as you say, 2 days a week is a lot of overhead.
Yeah.
And that could be 2 days a week spending making decisions, adding value, not preparing data, not collecting data. And the key
Mhm.
is that data analytics is not expensive today. When I started my
Okay.
career, building a
Uh
data
huh.
warehouse cost £2 million and took
Mhm.
5 years. In
Mm.
today's world, it's rapid. It's weeks, it's days even. And I think the
Hmm.
key behind this is that it's cheaper, more accessible than ever before.
Mm.
If you're a small business, you should really leverage this because I often say the most important thing we have is time. If you're a small
Mm.
business, every member of staff needs to be effective, needs to be adding value.
Mm.
Mhm.
Preparing reports is not adding value. Consuming that in
Right.
report is. So if you
Right.
could
Right.
outsource that, if you could automate the preparation, then it is actually advantageous. And this doesn't
Mhm.
just apply to small companies, but large ones as well. If you're wasting, as I see it, 70% of a management accountant's time preparing data, that's
Mm.
an expensive
Mm.
Excel
Right.
donkey.
Yeah.
Whereas that
Cause the
management accountant should be thinking strategy. Where could I go?
right. Yeah. Because your example earlier, where they spend where one team member spends 2 days a week,
Mm.
that's like 40% of the time,
Yeah,
right? And maybe the CEO or the owner can say, oh, it's just 2 days a week, but dude, it's 40% of the time. right? So it's yeah, it really sucks it out.
Cool. Uh, Tuan, this sounds really, really complicated. How did you get into this stuff? How did you get into data analytics?
I think he got frozen. Did we lose him
Mm,
for a sec?
yeah, I think so.
I think we may have lost him. Okay, so let's hope he comes back. You know, um, the things that he's talking about, D.
Yeah.
Uh, it seems like we need more of this. Maybe not on a huge scale, like the IoT,
Mm-hmm.
the data science. Hey, welcome back,
He's
Tuan.
back. Hey, Tuan.
Sorry, my
Welcome back.
internet.
Or is this your AI?
Well, yeah, we would just. I was asking, like, how did you get into it, or maybe, yeah, how did you get into data analytics? Like, is this something like when you grew up, you said to yourself, "I want to be a data analyst." Uh,
Oh, no, no, oh,
No.
man, no. I grew up, I wanted to be a computer game programmer.
Okay.
okay.
However, once I graduated, I received a very nice offer from one of the biggest computer game companies in the world. But then a IT consultancy approached me and offered me double the salary. So what can I say? And
Do you regret that? At any point in your life, have you ever said to yourself, you know what, I wish I had done the gaming thing?
oh no, I never, interesting life lesson, never live with regret because at that
Right.
time, it was the right decision because that's
Okay.
all you can do. Hindsight
Right.
is strange. People look back and say, I wish I had. No, because if you wanted to, you would have.
Right.
But,
Mhm.
so yeah, so I joined an IT consultancy and they had two paths at the time. You could either
Mhm.
be a web programmer or you could do business intelligence.
Mm.
And I did not know what business intelligence was. So you ask the obvious question and they say, well, we get data, we help businesses make better decisions, we help them inform themselves. And I said, that is interesting
Hmm.
because every business is different. Every
Mm.
Yep.
industry has its own jargon. If you're in travel, very different from if you're in online retail, very different if you're logistics or investment banking. So
Mhm.
that is quite interesting. Whereas web development is a website.
Yeah, a web
Yeah.
designer.
It always takes too long. They always want changes,
Yeah.
and it always costs too much.
But the more important thing, and this is what I considered, and this is something I was quite happy with myself, is that web
Mhm.
development will be offshored eventually.
Mm.
Okay.
We will
All
have
right.
designers in the UK that will basically
Mhm.
wireframe, design websites, and then we will ship
Mhm.
it on to a foreign country to do the development work.
Mm.
Whereas business intelligence, I need to talk to the head of finance. I need to talk to the head of marketing. I need to
Mhm.
talk to operations. Therefore,
Mhm.
my job would be far more secure because I'm always talking to the business
Right.
as opposed
More
to
in
being
a yeah, more in a client conversation mode,
exact.
where it cannot really be handed off,
Yeah,
offshore, right?
yeah,
Tuan, I need to follow up with that.
yeah, sure.
What does one need to be as good as you? I mean, when you started, you said,
Besides good looks.
yeah, besides being good looks,
Yeah, besides
carrying
good
that
looks.
beard, you know,
Yeah.
There you
Because
go.
if good looks was a prerequisite, right?
yeah.
I'd be sitting next to Tuan right now.
Yeah.
It's
So let's say if I wanted to join your team for the skill of things, right? If I wanted, what would one need to be
I
able? Let's say if I'm a businessman or I want to get into data analytics, what do I need to do that?
I think there's a few things. It's one, a desire to learn because there is a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So just having a general curiosity is that I want to know more. I think that is a very good character trait for someone that wants to get into data analytics.
Okay.
If you're just happy with the status quo, it will be a lot harder. If you're like, I wonder if I could improve my business. I wonder if I could find out more information about my competitors. If that is your mindset, then data analytics is a good place. Then the
Mhm.
question is twofold. For me, data analytics starts at the business and is assisted by technology.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what I mean is that the first part of being or working in data analytics is to ask the question, to understand what questions to ask. For
Mm.
example, is my sales trending during the time of COVID? Is it up? Is it down? And why?
Mm.
So if you as a person, as a business owner, can get into that state of mind, then the next question is what tools and technologies can I pick up? And as I said, it's very much commoditized nowadays. There's some very good tools on the market, but the main thing is to get into that mindset of asking data related questions. And then based on your organization, again, for me, the most used tool in business intelligence worldwide without competition is Microsoft Excel. More
Okay.
people use Excel to do data analytics than any other tool on the planet, bar none. It's
Bar
the
none. Okay.
it's installed on everyone's machine, right?
Right.
I don't know many people without Microsoft Office.
Okay.
And so again, you can start immediately. You can start thinking about what other people are doing. Google information is there. You could take some courses. There's a lot that you can do, but I think it starts with the desire to actually understand more about your organization based on data. If you have that, the data mindset, asking questions, being curious, and then the technology afterwards.
Hmm.
Chris, you
Sounds
see me
easy, doesn't it?
smiling. You see me
Yeah.
smiling, right? So you know I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
now you got me going, right? Now you got me going. I got this these now I'm not how do I know when I'm asking the right questions or not?
Okay. Let me help answer this one because I interact with D. All right. It's like D. When you ask the right question, I give you the answer. Okay. But when you ask me the wrong question or your question doesn't make sense, I make this face. Ah.
Yes, I agree. I
Okay.
agree. So let's say I'm asking the right question, right? Who would I ask and how would I know I'm getting the correct answer?
So this is one of the interesting things, in my opinion, about running a business. There are no wrong questions. And the key behind that is that you might ask a question that is fundamentally stupid, but
Hmm.
then again, what you need to do is ask a question, find an answer, tick that question off, and then put it into the garbage bin. But
Okay.
Hmm.
you should never stop yourself from asking questions ever.
Right.
Because once you do that, you start creating tunnel vision.
Mm.
So one,
Right.
so ask all the questions. If you're a
Right.
business owner, ask every question. How can I improve my business? What data do I need to improve my business? Ask
See,
everything.
Chris? Ask anything.
And
And
again,
now
No, I love this answer. I
but
I
love it.
love it too.
and no, there is a problem though, is that if you have too many questions, it will take you too long to get the answers. So when you
Yeah.
ask the questions,
Yeah.
you have to use your intuition and your gut instincts to say these are the 5 questions that I need to answer to progress my business. Then the question is, who can you get? You could hire someone to get you the answers. You can outsource
Mhm.
it. You can go to an organization, or you can
Mm.
learn the
Mhm.
tool. But the key is that every business, in my mind, has 5 fundamental questions for survival.
Mm.
Number one, very easy. How do I get customers?
Right.
Simple question. How much do I sell my product for? Again, very simple question.
Mm.
Am I losing customers? Let's go on the flip side.
Okay.
So, you have those. Is my
Right.
company running effectively?
Mm.
Okay. Awesome.
You know,
And it almost sounds like the answers are as good as the questions that are being asked, or
yeah,
as long as you can filter those out, right?
yes. But asking good
Okay.
questions is a trait of leadership. For
Right.
example, I have been in boardrooms where the questions were being asked were irrelevant.
Mm.
So
Like
asking,
what do you have for breakfast?
um, yes, I would say equivalent to that.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Asking,
business equivalent, right?
yeah, exactly. It's like that
Yeah.
is that has very little relevance to the challenge at hand.
Right.
It has
Mhm.
very little impact, and we're gonna
Mhm.
waste 10 minutes of the meeting discussing this point, which either way doesn't really have any consequence.
Mm.
And
Okay.
that is how, for me, that's how you judge, in my opinion. You ask the
Okay.
questions. If I get the answer to this, would it impact my business? If the
Mm.
answer is
Mm.
yes, what's the impact? If the answer is no, what is the impact? If the impact
Right.
is negligible, yes or no, it doesn't really matter, then it's not really a answer that you need. It's
Right.
not really going to change your business. However, simple example, imagine if you invest £1 million a year on marketing.
Hmm.
The
Mm.
question is Facebook a good platform?
Right.
Well, that is a
Well, we
cost.
don't know.
Yes,
We don't know, right?
but if you say yes, then £1 million goes into Facebook. If you say no,
Right.
£1 million goes elsewhere.
Right.
Oh, there is a consequence there. So that's why that's a question that should be answered, and often is. What is my
Hmm.
most effective marketing channel?
Right. That's right. You know,
Because
sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I've seen, for example, in this case, I've seen we have limited resources as an organization, and I've seen
Hmm.
companies spending those resources ineffectively.
Mm.
Hmm.
And what happens when you come against a competitor that is spending money in an effective manner?
Right.
And again, data analytics will drive this. This will only be
Hmm.
driven through data because how else would you know? You
Right.
can look at
We
the
can't.
number of
We
likes, but again, all the data is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. We can't always go with our gut, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
Or feelings. Yeah.
yeah.
Well.
But that's the thing.
Um.
This is what I always
Yeah.
say is that instincts are great. If you've
Hmm.
got 20 years of experience, instincts are amazing, but you need
Right.
to temper them with data. You need to match the logical with the passion. Match them both together because then you have a far more potent and powerful weapon.
I'll
Mm.
give you a gaming reference. You level up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, okay. So 2021 now. Last year 2020. It hit a lot of people and a lot of companies right. We got cut off right at the knees. And in my case, I've done a couple things here and there. To ensure that I can still eat. So in your business, okay, uh, Tableau Magic, right?
Yeah,
And let me just mention your website. Website I would say is www.tableaumagic.com.
yeah.
Okay, so that's TABLEAU magic MAGIC.com. And if you want to get more information on Tuan and uh, the data that he can help you with, check out the website. Um, Sorry, went off on a slight tangent. So 2020 and 2021, how has it affected your business? Up, down, busier than ever, customers changed, your role changed. How has it affected what you do?
Um, I think for myself and for my friends in the industry, business has been booming.
Okay.
And for a very simple reason, the value of data in an organization,
Mm.
data as
Hmm.
an asset, has never been more realized than it has been today.
Right.
Was
People
it
now,
was it a little bit more uphill pre-COVID?
I think the key behind this is that data and reporting was always there, but I think the urgency has basically added rocket fuel to this.
Okay.
Wow.
Organizations wanted data, they need data. Data is a
Hmm.
utility. It's like
Right.
electricity or water. You need to have it to make good decisions.
Yeah.
However, with COVID, it's just rapidly accelerated it.
Right.
Any business that did not do any digital transformation or did not go online, they were rushing to go online. They were spending
Hmm.
tens of millions and they needed data to back that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm.
in a time when you're making rapid decisions, in a time of duress and stress, you don't want to make blind decisions. You need to make sure that all your decisions count because decisions have more consequences now.
Hmm.
Millions of businesses worldwide have closed down.
Yeah.
So therefore, the need, the desire to do this properly increased. And therefore, anyone that worked professionally in the field, we were massively sought after because we
Hmm.
could have our internal guy do it. But now
Hmm.
that it's so critical, I'd rather go to a seasoned professional.
I got
Mm.
it. Just
Right.
a side question. Do you have any data? Is okay. Besides the obvious, travel, airlines, tourism. Besides those industries, um, have you come across, maybe lesser known, or maybe not so in the public eye, like the airlines and tourism and hospitality? Are there industries that were really really hit and are struggling to come back?
So for me, I have been following COVID carefully. I
Uh
think
huh.
most industries have been hit. I
Yes.
think the key behind this, even travel, the biggest thing now that you can do is just prepared to come back.
Right.
Mm.
Because there's not a single industry that has not actually been hit at all. And that is one of the big challenges today. Every industry has, apart from Amazon, of course.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I think the key thing here is that it's just about planning now, planning for the future. The
Hmm.
world
Mm-hmm.
will slowly recover. And the
Mm-hmm.
question is how?
And when,
Yeah.
right?
There's a phrase that I love to actually quote to my clients is that where there's chaos, there's opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the world has been turned upside down. It's a chaotic situation, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also an opportunity for entrepreneurs, for small business owners. If you
Mm-hmm.
think about your competition, half of your competition might have closed down.
Hmm.
True. Yeah.
So that's not, again, it's a harsh reality, but there's opportunity in there. And the
Right.
Yeah.
question is, how do we leverage that? How do we
Yeah.
position ourselves that we can build back and also thrive? My business itself
Right.
has been thriving due to
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
remote working. So my clients are all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Remote working has entered the mainstream.
Mm.
Right.
Again,
Yes.
that is something that small business owners can actually consider. Instead of
Right.
having to hire local talent on payroll, you can remotely hire someone for very
And on
little. And
contract too.
yes, freelancing,
Right.
remote freelancing in countries
Right.
where your money is worth a lot more.
Yeah. Stretch it out.
So that means if somebody wanted from Southeast Asia to hire you, Tuan, that can work, right?
Yeah, I
And
have an
I think
agency
vice
in
versa
Hong
also.
Yeah,
Right.
Sorry. Yeah. Vice versa also. If somebody wanted to work for your organization, they could possibly reach out because I think if you're getting clients on this massive scale, well, you're gonna need help, right?
yeah. And to be
Okay.
honest, I am constantly hire. I'm constantly have job openings because I'm constantly
Okay.
looking to hire.
Okay.
But the
Mm.
key behind it is that the field has been overly saturated because AI, data science, everyone is flocking towards this.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there is a lot of dilution happening. But yeah,
Mm.
I am available and my organization is available. However, we are on the pricier side, but as I often say, you get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for.
Right.
There's a old saying. You can get good. Okay, there's three choices, right? Good, cheap, or fast. Pick two.
There you go.
Listen, Tuan, thank you so much for your time, right? But before we go, I may have one or two, Chris and I may have one or two more questions before you go. Are you okay for time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So, okay, so whether from your professional point of view or maybe your personal point of view, what advice would you give to, let's say, micro or small companies or small businesses? What kind of advice do you think that you can give them to give them a little help?
Hire Tableau Magic.
No, no,
Oh, of
no.
course, yeah.
I wouldn't
But
say that.
No, that's my advice. That's my
right,
advice, Tuan. Yeah.
No. So for my point of view, is that survival is key in today's world. I
right.
think if your company can survive the next 18 months, I think there's a lot of opportunity available to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next
I
18
agree.
months will be a nightmare for a lot of organizations, but if you could
Yeah.
pass the hurdle, then you'll be in a fantastic position. So the key
Yeah.
thing here is to analyze your business and do everything you can to keep your business alive. And the things you can do, make better decisions, streamline some of your processes, remove potential redundancies. But the main thing is keep your business alive.
Keep it
And
alive until, right?
yeah, and prepare
Yeah.
yourself for the big party to come because I do believe that the world will become basically back to normal. There will be
Yeah.
changes that won't reverse. But I
Hmm.
think in a year or two, in 5 years' time, we'll look back on this whole episode and we'll say, you know what? That was a weird time when the world paused.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, funny,
Yeah.
crazy.
I would have used another F word, but yeah.
So you're predicting about 18 months.
Yeah, it survived for 18 months and then I think you'll be fine. Because
Awesome.
by the
Awesome.
end of the year, I think most countries will be open-ish. I
Right.
do think
Yeah.
we'll spend another year picking up the pieces because there will
Mhm.
be a lot of pain and suffering to go
Yeah.
around. But
Hmm.
after
Yeah.
that, It's the stages of grief: anger,
Mm,
bargaining, denial, acceptance,
Right.
and I just see
yeah.
hope. I think there is hope for the future.
Yeah, we may go back to camels and horses, training for those.
We
Hey,
may.
you know
Always
what, Tuan?
times.
I deeply appreciate, and I'm sure Dee does as well. And anybody watching on our stream, I have to let you know, I feel smarter a little
For
bit,
sure.
after interacting with you. And I learned a couple things in our conversation.
Yep.
And I'll on my end, I'll based on your suggestions and your analogies, I'll make some adjustments on my end. um but I'm really looking forward to learning more from you, at some point in the future. And I really want to thank you for from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank you for the time that you shared, the knowledge that you shared with us tonight.
Hmm.
I think it was not only awesome, but it was invaluable.
Yes. Yes, and I totally agree. Thank you so much, Tuan. And when you're out with doing salsa dancing and stuff. Oh, by the way, yeah, Tuan is he has a salsa dance club, a
Oh
studio,
my.
right? A studio, is that right, Tuan? Is that right? A studio?
In another life,
That
yes. I
that
used to
that
run.
Godfather smile. That Godfather smile means yes, yes, I do.
Yes.
Tuan, do you have any
Not for a
last
long
words?
time.
Do you have any last words for this session before we end our conversation this evening? Any golden
No, for
nuggets?
me, the main
Anything?
thing is just, like I said, the main thing is just to keep safe, take care
Right?
of your family, and focus on what
Yep.
is actually important, which
Yes.
is health and family.
Awesome.
The world will recover, but make sure your family's safe, make sure you're safe, and yeah,
Yep.
brace
So that
for better times.
right, so that we can all be there for that party at your salsa club.
Oh yeah, that's
Yes.
happening.
Okay. Awesome. I can't wait.
Tuan, I
Uh,
love your very
yeah.
calm demeanor, the way you explain it. I don't know, maybe you used to explain it to clients, like, okay, don't freak out, okay? So everything's in the red, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. Just yeah. We all got to make it, and you know what? We will make it. We will make it.
Yeah.
All right. We will end our
After
Yes,
that, I
session.
Tuan.
just think
Oh,
one
go ahead,
interest.
Tuan.
So, so one interesting point, and this is
Yeah.
something that is really interesting from a mindset point of view. You said if everything is red,
Right.
I actually think that's a good thing
Really?
because it tells the business what they need to
What's
improve.
wrong? Yeah.
If everything is green, then it's like yeah, who cares? If everything is
Yeah.
action, green builds complacency in my mind. And
Right.
Mhm.
I actually think that action is the biggest driver of innovation and business. You have to take
Agreed.
actions. You have to be proactive. If you're just
Agreed.
like,
Agreed.
oh, everything's ticking along, everything's going well, everything is green, you're not innovating. And it's only a matter of time until your competitor does innovate
Yes.
and
Mm.
overtakes you. So for me, I always say to my clients, I like seeing red because it means that
Mm.
we have an action.
Okay.
And therefore, we are going to improve our business in a certain way, which is
Interesting
valuable.
take. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that tip. Thank you. That was the parting golden nuggets. Thank you so
D, do
much,
you wanna
Tuan.
do you wanna wrap us up, D?
Yes, Tuan, thank you so much. And, thanks
Thank
our
you, Tuan. Thank
audience.
you.
And,
No, you're welcome.
Tuan, please be safe. I know they're starting to give out jabs, and so they call it, right. Please be safe. I hope you, your family, your business is well.
Thank you very much. And thank you for talking to me.
No
Awesome. Let's give
problem.
Tuan a virtual hand.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tuan. All right,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna end the stream right now. Thank you for joining us, and we will put this replay with Tuan's company website on the replay,
Hmm.
so that you can get in touch with them. When you need help in getting over through these times and getting it done right with data analytics. All right. Good
It's
evening. Thank
strange
you,
though.
everyone.
It's strange though. Tuan calls himself a plumber. I think he's more like a doctor.
Possibly, yeah.
more like a business doctor providing prognoses and diagnosis and stuff like that. Thank you, Tuan.
Right. Thank you, Tuan. Thank you.
Take care. Keep safe.
Keep safe, everyone.
Yep.